Hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, hey, hey,
Welcome everybody to Rubbin' is Racing. Yes, the original 110 Nation show that took a little time off in the off season is back, better than ever. Here we are on Monday nights, a little bit later than usual. I know last year we came on at 7 o'clock. Doing things a little bit later tonight. Just a lot of things going haywire here in the 110 Nation studios here. So hopefully we'll be back on track next week. But I tell you what, the 2016 season already starting off the same way that the season ended, with controversy. Oh, Lord have mercy, controversy already, and the only thing we have done is qualified. Simply just qualified. And yet there is already controversy for the 2016 season. Now, granted, that's not all we've done so far. We've had the ARCA Series kick off their season at Daytona with the Lucas Oil 200. The K&N Pro Series kicked off on Sunday. The Sprint Unlimited race Saturday night. And, of course, we had qualifying on Sunday afternoon, early day. But when it actually comes to the Sprint Cup Series and the start of the 2016 season, we've qualified, and that's it. And yet there is already controversy, conspiracy theories, and others as the season is kicked off. We're going to talk a little bit about that here in a minute. Also going to talk about the Lucas Oil 200. Your front row has been set for the Daytona 500 next weekend. Of course, this week we got Speed Weeks, or the dual qualifying races, whatever they call them now. It used to be dual 150s and dual 125s. Now I don't even know what they call them anymore. As NASCAR constantly changes the name of this race and the name of some of the races. Definitely excited about the 2016 season, and I'm definitely interested to get everybody's thoughts and opinions, especially after you get to hear this. Because this is kind of flown underneath the radar. And as a matter of fact, it wasn't until right before the show that I even had any clue about what's going on underneath the radar here in NASCAR. So definitely excited about that. A little bit shorter segment than normal. Normally we go about an hour. Tonight we're going to run probably about 45 minutes. With it being a later show, I got to be able to get off and get prepared and get on for the 110 Nation Sports Show following directly after this. So a little bit shorter than normal, but with the minimum action and the minimal to talk so far. It's going to be good, but I'm glad to be back here. The 110 Nation, we have a nice little plethora of racing shows, and this is just one more to add to it, and I'm very excited about that. Of course, we got the Happy Hour Garage on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. as I know that they're doing the Nemechek duo father-son interview this week. So looking forward to catching that Sunday night here on the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network. Of course, for the Dirt Talk Hour, which is Sunday at 9 p.m., the little boy, I forget how old he was. I want to say somewhere around 3, 5, 7 maybe years old. I've seen the video multiple times. The little boy that was in the little sprint car, and the car was he couldn't stop. I think the accelerator was stuck or whatever the case was. And you had that guy out there that grabbed onto the car and jerked it to keep him hitting the wall head on. For those that have seen the video, you know exactly what I mean. The guy was a hero. Poor kid. I'm sure that he was shooken up. But needless to say, Sunday nights here on the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network, Sunday night, 9 p.m. on the Dirt Talk Hour, where we are going to have that gentleman that grabbed that car. We're going to have the little boy that was driving the sprint car, and we have the parents all coming on the show. I'm very excited to hear the story and kind of get the dramatic details in how scary it was for that little boy. And then don't forget, on the 25th, we have the return of Rubbin' His Racing Thursday nights, 9 p.m. I'm very excited about having Steve Billmeyer, Big Sweat himself, making a return back to the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network. I'm looking forward to getting the details of all that. So definitely looking forward to that. But season starts off with controversy. As we know, there was 3 cars that will be starting towards the rear when it comes to the qualifying races come this Thursday night due to infractions that came on Sunday. And Martin Truex and Kevin Harvick are amongst a couple of them that will be 2 of the 3 that will be sent to the back. I'm trying to remember who the third name is, and I'm trying to pull this up. It was another big name as well. Harvick, Vickers, and Martin Truex. But more specifically, we're going to talk about Martin Truex, because this is where all the controversy already has come into place. The Truex number 78 team was disallowed. Time was disallowed because of the roof flap wasn't seated and closed, just like the Chase Elliott car picture below on his qualifying run. Rigged qualifying only if it involves a driver you do not like. The roof flap unsealed is a definite aero advantage. NASCAR parked the number 78 Bass Pro car today because the roof flap was not sitting flush with the roof of the right rear. According to Jeff Gordon, it has an aero advantage. Look at the roof flap in the pole-winning car of Chase Elliott. Same thing, nothing said, And we got a picture of it here. I was looking at it, and I'll be posting the picture over to I'll be posting the picture, and actually we'll be doing an article over at the 110 Nation Sports Radio, the 110nationsports.com. Plain to see that the roof flap for the number 24 Chevrolet that Chase Elliott was driving during the qualifying run was not seated. You can obviously see it, and it makes you wonder, one, how they did not notice that Chase Elliott's roof flap was not flush, like it's stated in the rule book, not sitting flush on the roof of the right rear. But here we are with Truex, who his time was not allowed because they noticed the same thing. So I understand that it's history in the making. You now have the youngest Daytona 500 pole sitter. In the last handful of years, we've had our first lady get the pole at the Daytona 500. Now we have our youngest to get the pole at the Daytona 500. But this one comes with a little controversy. This one comes with now conspiracy. This one comes with a little bad taste in the mouth. Rigged qualifying, rigged finishes. I mean, NASCAR is already catching enough hell for this new caution clock in the truck series, and a lot of conspiracy theorists out there feel that this is just another way for NASCAR to be able to dictate how races are finished and who wins the races and all that kind of stuff. Now you have something simple like this that you can see from a picture that somebody took on their TV. That's how bad the quality of this picture is. This is not like a crystal clear picture that someone took from the track. This is not something that's been spread around on professional sites. This is something that somebody took a picture of from their house and added their 2 cents and posted on Facebook, which is true. I'm not disputing it or saying anything against what they're saying, but that's how simple it is and how easy it was to spot out, point out this this discrepancy in the qualifying. I mean, as much as I want to congratulate Chase Elliott for what he accomplished, it's not a valid. It's not a valid. It wouldn't be a valid congratulations. I mean, you won it by beating the system, and I know everybody cheats. The prime example, once again, everybody cheats. Some get away with it, some don't. If this would have been Jimmy Johnson, oh my God, the world would have came to an end. Because NASCAR fans out there, for some reason, have it bent over, sideways, frontwards, backwards, that Jimmy Johnson is the only driver out there that cheats. And here we are with the number 24 team. And, I don't know if it was intentionally done, if it was something that was just overlooked. I honestly, I have no idea why, how, anything. The only thing I do know is what the number 78 team got punished for. It is the exact same thing that the 24 team got away with. This is Chase Elliott's first Daytona 500. This is him. The torch is being handed over to Chase Elliott to basically rally the former Rainbow Warrior posse, and this is what we're looking at. And with all the hype and everything that's going around this, I mean, NASCAR honestly couldn't afford to NASCAR couldn't afford it. They couldn't afford to have their new prodigy child, the newest and biggest thing, to have a whoopsie in the very first race of the season, I guess. And I don't know. I obviously it's not going to be such a big deal. Like I said, this would have been a Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski thing. Oh my God, we would have petitions already out there. And note to the 7-8 team, that's why you don't go with that shiny black. That's why you guys need to stay with that dull black, which kills me. Because either way, how do y'all know it's a flap on a black car, but you don't notice it on that Napa blue? But obviously, you need to stick with what works. Quit trying to be fancy. I know that they negotiated within the team, and they went to the shiny black for Talladega and Daytona this year. But obviously, with the dull black that they normally run on that 78 furniture row machine, you just need to stick with what has worked and what worked last year and got you guys as far as you guys got last year. That's all I can say about it. But the front row is set. Chase Elliott and Matt Kenseth will be your front row, and of course Martin Truex, Harvick, and Vickers will all be coming from the rear in the qualifier races coming up Thursday, as we I'll make sure we got everything going good as we get ready for that in the Daytona 500. Great week this week. Pretty much got action every single day coming up. As we got the qualifier races on Thursday. We got the Truck Series this weekend. We got the Xfinity Series, and then of course we got the Daytona 500. If you're a NASCAR fan, if you survived last weekend and everything that went on, and didn't go into NASCAR overload because of the 2-month layoff that we had, you are definitely going to have a treat come this week, as the drought is over. It is race time. It is officially the 2016 season. On Saturday, we had the ARCA Series kick off their season with the Lucas Oil 200. Great race. Had an opportunity over on the 110 Nation Sports Show. If you guys don't catch that show, make sure you guys do Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. We had a lot of the young talents come on the show. leading into that races. We had Dylan Lumpton, we had Sarah Cornett Ching, we had Mason Mitchell, we had Chris Powell, we had Gus Dean, we had Jay Jr. We had a lot of great pieces just for the ARCA Series race alone. Not to include B.J. McLeod from the Xfinity Series, Allie Kern from the K&M Pro, Dominique K&M Pro, which I think she finished 10th this weekend. I think Allie Kern has some issues. She finished, I want to say, somewhere in the 20 range, if I remember correctly. But a lot of great talent and a lot of great drivers we had on last week. So if you guys missed that, make sure that you guys tune in over on the 110 Nation morning show, or I'm sorry, the 110 Nation sports show, Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. And we have a great guest joining us tonight. We have, as a matter of fact, once we get off here, and that's kind of why I got to make sure I cut myself off early enough to have enough time. One, we got Tim Latham. He's the man behind Seek to Destroy Cancer. They have a real big event coming up here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, March 19th, to help support, to help raise money to help seek and destroy cancer. And then we're following out with Ruben Garcia, another driver in the Drive for Diversity program. Great show lineup, so make sure you guys check that out. But we had a lot of great guests leading up into this Lucas Oil leading up into the Lucas Oil 200 on Saturday. And it gave us, obviously, it gave us a lot to cheer for here at the 110 Nation. As you know, I'm a firm believer, though, if you come on the show and you give us your time, we're going to do everything we can to try to show our support. If it be, the funds are there, throw some financial sponsorship that way. If it ain't, around the funds, excuse me, then sharing your guys' stuff, sharing their stuff, having them come on the show, that kind of stuff, to help get your brand out there, your name, your team, whatever the case may be. And so, of course, sitting there and watching the ARCA Series is always a tricky thing for us, because last year, we had the top 10 come on the show throughout the season to include the eventual points leader, Grant Enfinger. But Josh Williams, Mason Mitchell, Austin Wayne Sell, Sarah Cornett Ching. We can go down the list. I can go back through the calendar of all the names of all the drivers in the ARCA Series, but I guarantee you almost the whole top 10 was on the show last year. So sitting down and watching the ARCA Series race is a little bit more complicated to me than when it comes to the Xfinity Series race, even though having an opportunity to sit down with B.J. McLeod last Wednesday, if you guys missed that, go back through the archives and catch last Wednesday's show. February 10th, great show. Had him on for an hour. Got to learn a lot and get his insight on a lot of things, and just a really cool. We've become friends, and we're able to have some conversations off the show and everything else. So, the darkest series, though, is a little bit more complicated, because all these drivers that come on the show come and give the 110 Nation their time. It is beyond greatly appreciated, and it's a really cool time to have. And so I feel myself having a long list of drivers that I'm pulling for, or hoping that will win the race. And sitting down this weekend, obviously was really no different, as the Lucas Oil 200, the Lucas Oil 200 was really honestly no different than any other race, where I'm sitting there looking at this long list of drivers that I want to see win this race. And, I'm finding myself, God, I hope this guy, pulls it out. And then, unfortunately, when we come up on lap 3, and I watch Derek Lancaster, and, I don't know what business it is his to be out there on that track. As lap 3, he really ruined a lot of great cars' day. 3 laps into a 80-lap event. And It was unfortunate that he took out some of the favorites to win the race, taking out Cole Powell and Gus Dean, both of Mason Mitchell Motorsports, taking out Austin Wainsell, taking out Bobby Gerhart, Kevin Thompson, Terry Jones, Shane Lee, Harold Avila, and Mark Thompson. Just nine names right there. That's a lot of talent that was eliminated early in the race, and it was unnecessary. It was 3 laps into the race. There was no need into there being that big of an incident that early in the race. And unfortunately, when we had Chris Powell on, we got to talk to him. This was kind of a one race kind of ordeal. This wasn't something that they had anything else mapped out, and they were hoping for a great finish, so this could lead to sponsors picking up more opportunities for them. Same thing with Gus Dean, as going into the season, Mason Mitchell Motorsports was hoping to have an opportunity to go for the series championship, but with the way the funds have laid, the only thing that they were currently able to go for was owner championship. And so this was supposed to be one of those opportunities that really helped. And I know the other drivers, a lot of these other drivers that got knocked out of the race, they were kind of in the same scenario. They don't know exactly where or when their funding is coming from, and how to make things work out. And so unfortunately for those 9 drivers, their day got eliminated early. And so you felt kind of bad for it. And I think the interesting thing about this race, and what's really impressed me, was the fact that there were drivers that there for the longest time were in the top 10. As we hit like midway, even latter part of the race, there was 4 drivers in the top 10 that had just turned 18 within the last 6 months. And that was something that has not been heard of. And it's one of those things that you sit there and think to yourself, wow, the talent level has definitely changed. If we got so much talent, we got so much talent that no longer do we have these older drivers kind of hanging around. Now we have a bunch of drivers that are getting to the point that they're being recognized, and sponsorships are willing to take a chance on it because they've seen this talent, and they know how talented these drivers are. And it's just really good for NASCAR. That's got to be a positive sign to know that you're not just filling the spot. You actually have talent coming up through the ranks, and so we're going to continue to see the Austin Dillons and the Chase Elliott's and the Kyle Larsons, and as we consistently lately have seen the talent come through, the Ryan Blaney's, and so it is really cool to and it's got to be a positive thing for NASCAR. But the Lucas Oil 200, John West Townley ends up winning the race. Pretty much dominated by Cole Custer for the longest of time. Definitely led the most laps. Just had a very strong car. It wasn't until the latter part of the race that John West Townley finally got that outside to work good enough to get him out front. It was really cool to see how strong Townley's car was, as he was able to, pretty much stay, next to the top 3 cars. But him being on the outside, and to see that outside groove work as good as it did, and see how good that they stayed together to make that even possible. The inside line, if they could have stayed tight and stayed amongst each other, I think the outside line would have had much more difficulties. But because the fact that they didn't, it let the outside stay right there and made it so eventually Townley could take over the top spot and go on to win the Lucas Oil 200. William Bryan making his leap up into the ARCA Series full time. Obviously put on a really good show, second place finish. Kyle Witherman also put on a really good performance. Chase Briscoe finishing fourth. Big name Frank Kimmel got a top 5 finish. I gotta say it was really, really fun to be able to sit down and have an opportunity. Josh Williams ended up having difficulties and issues late in the race. Ended up having to make a late pit stop that obviously did not help their situation none. But to have an opportunity to to watch this skill set. I was sitting there. Obviously, as many times as we've had Sarah Cornett Ching on the show, as she is seventh, or that was last year. And she ended up having a late motor issue and was unable to stay part of that lead group and end up falling behind. Ended up still having a decent finish, just the motor didn't hold up. But watching her avoid those wrecks early on, to me that was very impressive because not so many drivers would have been able to weave through all the traffic that she had to go through to avoid that wreck, especially that I don't want to say it was the first one. I think the first one happened right behind. No, I think the first one happened right in front of her. The next one happened right behind her. Very, very impressed with the talent set and the performance we got to see out of the ARCA Series race. The next race for the ARCA Series is Nashville, the Nashville ARCA 200, April 9th, 2016. Well, 2016, 8 p.m. at the Fairground Speedway in Nashville. Definitely excited about that. Unfortunately, it's such I guess that one side is a good thing, and the other side it's an unfortunate thing. For good side, good thing for the drivers and the teams. Obviously, they'll be able to work on getting the funds together and getting the cars together, and have plenty of time for the fans and those that are ready to get on to race 2. It's kind of unfortunate now. We got to wait for a month of some change before the next race. It's kind of the downside to the whole ARCA series is too many big gaps, obviously now that they got to find seat time elsewhere and get into to get definitely got to find car seats or having 2 conversations at the same time just doesn't necessarily work here, but definitely drivers are going to definitely have to find seat time to make sure that they got everything that they need to stay fresh and everything else and be ready for the next race. But congratulations to John West Townley for putting it into the victory lane, the 05 car, at Zaxby's machine, and looking forward to the next race. Saturday nights we had the Sprint Unlimited. Interesting race there. As I guess we learned a little bit as. We learned that you could get damage in your car and still win Daytona, I guess. Interesting race. I don't think we, by any stretch of the imagination, expected Denny Hamlin to win the race, but definitely an interesting race. Definitely, it was nice to be able to sit down and watch. It was definitely fun to sit and watch. Unfortunately, Brian Vickers cut a tire early. Was very excited about being in the number 14 Tony machine. Ended up taking out some really good competitors. Cut a tire. I kind of asked this, and I would love to know those that tune in tonight, because, this show right here, dedicated straight to NASCAR, obviously is going to have more NASCAR-based fans, and we'll get some more reaction from you guys. Last year we watched Kyle Busch miss the first nine races of the season. Was the first driver to not participate in the Daytona 500 and to end up winning the championship in the same season. And there was a lot of negative backlash about it. I can't believe that we have a driver that didn't participate in 9 races and be able to go on to win the championship, and all this stuff. And of course, a lot of the old-time drivers, or old-time fans that are still wanting the old Winston Cup point system back, which, one, we've not had the Winston Cup championship system in, 10, 15 years at this point. 2, why would anybody want to go back to that championship format? As people want to, it's not based on a 10 race run or this, that, and the other. But have you not watched the last 2 years with the contender rounds? Have you not watched the fighting, the action going on on the track? The attendance is definitely up. The action is definitely up. How could you not? I'm sorry, but I growing up and knowing that we had seasons where the race car driver, the eventual champion, all they had to do was either start the race or finish 35th or better. My first experience at a racetrack was Atlanta in 95, and that was when Jeff Gordon won his first championship, and Atlanta used to be the last race of the season, and all he had to do was finish 35th or better. How big whoop-de-doo, compared to last year where it came down to your final 4 and you had 4 legitimate contenders. How could you want to go back to the old system knowing that all it took was Gordon to start the race and he was good to go? I mean, why would anybody want to go back to that? I scratch my head all the time. Yes, it kind of sucks that there's a loophole, and to know that, okay, Kyle Busch got into this championship with 9 less races than everybody else. But at the same time, you kind of twist that, and how remarkable is that to know that Kyle Busch won 4 races, and if it would not been for the loophole, he wouldn't have not got in. If it would have been the old point system, he would have not got in on something that simply was not even his fault. He didn't cause the wreck. He was not NASCAR and didn't go above and beyond to fix any safety features. Not that I'm throwing NASCAR underneath the bus, because unfortunately, a lot of times we don't realize, such as the safer barrier walls we have now, we don't realize that something needs to be fixed or improved until it's too late, until someone suffers the consequences of a bad wreck. And, that's just kind of one of those things. And, I have no issue with the fact that Kyle, obviously part of it's got to do with I'm a Kyle Busch fan, but more specifically, I don't have an issue with it, because not only did he come back that season and won 4 races before the championship, he outperformed a lot of people. Yes, he, unfortunately did get 9 races, so there was 9 races he didn't get points for. But you take his average finish or the points per races that he actually attended to, he outperformed almost that whole field. And then to be able to be consistent enough and be upfront enough and do what he had to do to win the championship, how can you take that away from him? But where things get interesting to me is a lot of those veteran fans are Tony Stewart fans. And there is a lot more Smoke fans than there is ever going to be Rowdy fans. So my question is, if Tony Stewart comes back 9, 10 races into the season or whatever, if Tony Stewart misses the first 9, 10 races of the season due to this injury, which was a non-race related injury that had nothing to do with you. You could blame NASCAR at all for any reason at all. And like I said, I'm not trying to blame what happened to Kyle Busch on NASCAR. I'm just saying that was just another safety feature that NASCAR, and like I said, everybody overlooked. It wasn't just NASCAR. It was not one of those things that we thought, well, we need to pave it all the way down to the wall on the inside. One of those things that they didn't think about. Well, we need to go ahead and pave it all the way to the wall so we can help slow down these cars. Versus Kyle Busch hitting that grass and it'd just be like ice, and you just slide straight into the wall and hit it as hard as he did. Like I said, I'm not trying to blame NASCAR. Don't get me wrong, but Tony's incident had nothing to do with on the track. It had nothing to do with any safety features. It had to do what he did in his own personal time. So my question to the NASCAR Nation is, if Tony Stewart comes back and he's missed 5 races, 8 races, 9 races, whatever the case may be, I don't care if he misses 12 races, 15 races, and let's say he comes back and he finds a way to work himself into the top 30. Let's say that he has won multiple races. As NASCAR fans, how much more forgiving or how much more are they going to be for this rule for Tony Stewart and allowing him to be in the chase versus them being so upset that Kyle Busch was in the chase? I can guarantee you, without a shadow of a doubt, the reaction we got last year with Kyle Busch, if Tony Stewart is able to accomplish the same task, or at least make the chase after missing the multiple races, I guarantee we're going to have the exact opposite reaction out of the NASCAR Nation. I can guarantee you. I can guarantee you it was Dale Jr. And Dale Jr. missed one more race. I say he missed 10 races and still was able to miraculously have the season of Kyle Busch, which we know that is not possible. That Dale Jr. does not have the skill set to be anywhere close in the same caliber or the same conversation as Kyle Busch. That's just like comparing a cheetah to a turtle. I mean there's no comparison there. We got people trying to call into the next show. We got people. But I guarantee that, and I swore that it's at the time I passed on, is I got people trying to call me ahead of time for. But anyway. But I can guarantee. Sorry about that. I had 20 messages coming at once at one time. But I can guarantee you, if this would have been Junior Nation, we would not get the same reaction that we are getting out of that we got out of the Rowdy for Kyle Busch being in the chase and winning the championship. So definitely we'll keep our eye on that, whether or not. There's no complications of 20,000 things here at once, all at one time. But like I said, it'll definitely be interesting to see how this works out, and when Tony Stewart actually gets back in the car, and what he can accomplish in the short amount of time. If he can get within those 30 points, if he was going to be granted the same forgiveness, and if he can get within the 30, within the top 30 points and win a race to get himself eligible. Do I expect it? No, not really. Well, what we saw to Tony Stewart is not a shot against Tony Stewart, but this is definitely not the same Tony Stewart that we saw a couple years back. Obviously the two injuries plus the Kevin Ward whole incident obviously is taking its toll, and the time one injury, but now two injuries. We saw what we need to see, and so. I don't expect Tony Stewart to find victory lane as much as I would enjoy it and wouldn't mind him at least winning a race. Maybe not, if you don't make the chase, to me it's not that big of a deal. But him winning the race would be a really cool thing, and it would be really cool if it happens on a weekend that the 110 Nation is down at the event. We were shooting for Atlanta to make our first race this year, but scheduling for my real job. I hate using that word. I hate just using the word job, but the real job, there was a conflict in schedule, so we will not be making the trip to Atlanta. So, we'll definitely work on getting to the next race possible. Dual qualifying races on Thursday. Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and then, of course, the Daytona 500 this weekend. Definitely going to have a lot to talk about come next Monday night. Shooting for 7 o'clock, being back on normal time next Monday night. I'm looking forward to having a lot to talk about. Hopefully, we have one hell of a finish. Hopefully, we get it all in on Sunday. I remember there's been a few times that we've not got it all done the same day. So, hopefully everything gets knocked out, and we'll be right back at it next Monday night. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Very excited to be back on here with Rubbin' Is Racing. It's been a handful of months, and there was a lot of conflict and a lot of things that needed to be done to make this possible with all the other race shows we have, and I just felt that I needed to sit here and spend a good hour, be able to talk to you guys, and talk about the season and week in and week out. And the plans this year is, even with the off season, not to go off the air, is for moving forward. I am hoping that we will be on 365 throughout the whole year, and just do a lot of focusing on other things when we have an off week and when we're out of the season. So definitely looking forward to that. Make sure you guys check us out on Facebook. You can check out the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. You can check me out on Twitter at CJ Sports 1. You can also check us out on Facebook, my personal fan page, Mr. CJ Sports, the 110 Nation fan page, 110 Nation Sports. Also, make sure you check out the blog site, www.the110nationsports.com. Check out our company site, www.the110nation.com, for all the latest going on here at the 110 Nation. Don't forget, it's Monday through Friday. We got the 110 Nation's morning show at 9 a.m. Also got the 110 Nation Sports show Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. We got Rubbin' Is Racing, 7 o'clock on a normal week. Like I said, we had an hour delay this evening. You can check us out at 7 p.m. on Monday nights for the Rubbin' Is Racing. Thursday nights, we got Racing with Big Sweat at 9 p.m. on Thursdays. We got the Happy Hour Garage at 7 o'clock Sunday nights. And then we got the Dirt Talk Hour, 9 p.m. on Sunday night as well. So got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of great shows. Make sure you guys check that out. Make sure you guys tune in. Very excited about the 2016 season on NASCAR and the 2016 season here on Rubbin' Is Racing. So make sure you guys tune in every week to get your latest dose of what's going on in the NASCAR series. Or the NASCAR world. It don't matter if it's a Sprint Cup Series, Xfinity Series, Camping World Series, ARCA Series. We're going to have you covered all the way around, so make sure that you guys tune in. Want to once again thank everybody for tuning in, and if you guys are going to hang around here at the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network for the next couple hours, we got the 110 Nation Sports Show. It's going to be kicking off here in about 5 minutes. If not, next week, Monday night, 7 p.m., you guys tune in, and let's go racing.